big red button to push. So, we're rolling?
Yep, we're rolling.
Awesome. So, welcome to the day 2 of our Resilience Summit. Today is dedicated to personal resilience. And of course, we can explore other adjacent topics, anything from generational resilience and relational resilience to community resilience and things like that. It's all fair game. I also would love to do a round robin of introductions. I'm Lama Tantrapa. I'm the co-organizer of this summit, and I'm delighted to be here. Please unmute yourself if you're muted and speak up and say a few words about yourself and also where you are joining us from. I'm joining you from Central European Time Zone. I'm in Denmark now.
And I'll go next. Master Sheldon Callahan of Deep Root Center for Spiritual Studies, also co-host this event with Lama Tantrapa. I'm in Oakland, California, and I have a temple here that we do Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Qigong, and wellness practices.
Cool.
Hey, my name's James. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
My name's Jeff Primack. I've been practicing Qigong for 25 years and teaching. I have a retreat center on the Big Island of Hawaii, and we do a lot of Qigong. We do events around the country, and it's great to be here. And I've known Lama a long time, and I really appreciate you hosting the summit.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Exactly 12 hours difference between our time zones.
Other side of the world.
Literally. But we are connected. And James, please go ahead if you feel like speaking up.
My name is James Robert Elliott. I'm right now in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I've been practicing resilience for probably since I was, probably 7 or 8, from times of intense bullying, being picked on, and life happening, obesity, digestive issues, chronic fatigue, a whole bunch of fun stuff, and just practicing resilience and building resilience and just fostering perseverance. And now I teach entrepreneurs, I teach business leaders and their teams really how to foster perseverance and be resilient through anything that happens in life, and just take it as, hey, how is this good? And I wonder what's going to happen next.
Awesome. Thank you.
I can go next.
First, Tammy?
Yes, I'm Tammy Vincent. I'm in Merritt Island, Florida, so sunny Florida. And I am an ACOA empowerment coach. So I deal primarily with adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, and teaching them all the resilience that they need that I acquired over the last 30 years after my childhood.
Very cool.
Thank you. Hannah?
Yeah, hi, my name is Hanna Snorradóttir, and as you maybe can hear from my accent, I come from Iceland originally. I'm an Icelandic storyteller, and I'm actually living in Denmark, like you, Lama, and I work with women, empowering women, helping them becoming more resilient to everything that life basically throws at them. And I work very much with story as something that you tap into, because every story, every myth, and all folklore goes like this. You have a certain platform, then life throws something at you, and you go down like this, and then it's your way, to figure out how to deal with that, and you become more resilient. So I use Norse mythology and dance to ground experiences. So I use very much embodied, resilience, so to speak. So that's what I work with. So it's a different a different approach than from Qigong, definitely, but same but different. I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And Jeff, welcome to our community.
Jeff Roberger. I live in Longmont, Colorado, which is just north of Denver. This resilience subject is new to me, but I got the email for it and I got a yes. So here I am. My background, I just retired from a long career in engineering, doing energy conservation related things. However, I have been doing shamanic work, Reiki work, other energy work and body work off and on over the last 20 some years. And I am a Qigong student of Master Kathy Mu. I have been for the last 4 or 5 years.
Wonderful. And she is one of our esteemed presenters.
Mhm.
I don't know where she's at. Let me send her an email because she was asking, how do we get on this call? Would you do me a favor and contact Kathy and see how I sent her an email just 10 minutes ago. I don't know. All right, thank you. So one of the things that we all know is how valuable resilience is. And that's one of the things that we wish more people would know.
Mm.
The value of resilience is paramount because it basically is what keeps you alive when shit hits the fan. It's what allows you to persevere and success and excel under the circumstances where others perhaps would crumple, or you feel like giving up, or you feel like the universe is conspiring against you. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but I certainly experienced it a few times. Not many people that you come across probably who got kidnapped. I was kidnapped in Ukraine some 30 years ago. And I had to, get over PTSD and develop greater resilience as a result. So one of the things that I would love to explore in our panel discussion today is perhaps just a brief but poignant story. Like I just shared a brief story of my ordeal of being kidnapped. I wasn't kidnapped for as long as Jose, another presenter who is going to be speaking tomorrow. He was kidnapped and held hostage by the Venezuelan government for 5 years. I was held hostage for just 3 days. Still didn't feel great, but it's a lot better than 5 years. Now, maybe ladies first, if you feel like sharing any of the stories of your ordeals that perhaps brought you to where you are now, feel free to take 4 or 5 minutes and share.
Yeah, I can go first, if it's okay, Tammy.
Yes.
When I was a child, 10, I was actually abused. So building resilience is something pretty familiar with to me, because I went straight down to a depression that lasted for 20 years, severe depression, being suicidal, and what got me out of it was basically starting to tell stories and starting to mirror my own life into the great myths and into the folk tales, because they have all the same pattern. You can actually, if you hear a story, a myth, you can actually feel what resonates with you, and that's probably the place where you're at in the story. And for me, that was always being down in the underworld, or basically in hell. And then I could see, okay, if I could use the myth as a map, I could see the steps that I needed to take. So I used the myth actually as a map of building resilience and of surrendering to what had happened to me. Yes, there was a fact and I couldn't do anything about it, but I could move through my emotions through grounding, and that I did through dancing the stories. So I met this great woman who was a mentor for me and that I love really much and have still connection with today. And we were ritually dancing the Norse mythology. And this was like, it was like, going, from hell and straight up to heaven for me. And I just got so grounded by it. And then I could orient towards creativity. I could see possibilities for me, also possibilities for living a great life, and also to reach out to community, to people that I could talk about, these issues with. So I could also even find more ways to deal with what I had lived through. So both, connecting with the myth, dancing it, reflecting upon it, and then doing a lot of breath work was my way to, then to yield to the common good, to use my story to help other people and other women. So so that's basically my story. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. So do you want me to go next? Okay. So I guess the best way to put it is that the whole first 18 years was one of, like you said, you had the sexual abuse, and it's just like I had the physical, emotional, sexual trauma and abuse. And really the biggest thing was that I didn't have a backup plan. Like I didn't have anybody telling me, you got this, girl, you can do this. And I know I tell everybody now, you got to have that one person that's in your corner that's going to help you out. But really I was looking to my God, and I kept saying, who's going to save me? And I remember hearing this voice, Tammy, Tammy, Tammy. And I'm thinking, you're mocking me. Like that's literally what I was thinking when I was younger, was you're mocking me at this point. And it wasn't until I was about 26 getting ready to have my first child that I asked again. Like I realized I was getting ready to have a baby and didn't have even the slightest clue what I was doing or the big concepts and skills that you needed to go into adulthood. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to feel an emotion. I was basically a shell of a person. But I remember that one day asking him, like, who's going to save me? And when he said, Tammy, 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 it took on a whole new meaning. And really what it was saying is, you're going to save you. And that is when I really turned everything in. And I realized I got to stop looking on the outside and I got to start looking on the inside, because that is where the true me, the true resilience lives. I mean, it's like, I felt like up until then, someone had my pen or a pen and was writing my story. And I was like, no more. So that is when I really started focusing on what I need, what I can do, my higher power, my belief system, and really turned it around that way, because I feel like and that's what I coach now, because I feel like we're all waiting for some outside force to come and sweep us off our feet and make everything amazing, where really it's your belief system, your confidence, your love for yourself and for other people that is going to do it. So that's, kind of, it was just years and years of conglomerate of ick to where I finally said, it's either me or die. And that was when I realized we all have that resilience in us. We all are born this beautiful, joyous creature that wants to survive and wants to thrive. And that was my message. And that's still my message, is that you have it in you, though. There's a podcast, I think it's called Going Out to Stop. I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically stop looking out and look in, and you'll find the answers. And so that's my message.
Beautiful message. Exactly the same message that I have, or very similar in many respects. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Jeff, would
Yeah.
you share with us
Sure.
a few things about yourself?
About resilience. Okay. So I, like other people who've spoken, like Hannah spoke about the power of the breathing. For me, the breathing was key. Like a lot of the people who've spoken, I was traumatized at 20 years old, not knowing where I was going. I did the breathing, right? It's like, oh, here's this thing, breath work. I did it. I vibrated levitated. It felt like the most amazing thing, you know, and I was 20, right? And I had already, well, here's some transparency about me. Fun facts. I had already experimented with psychedelics, and I already knew what mushrooms and things. I haven't done them all, but I've tried them, and I know what it's like to take psychedelics, right? I'm not a newcomer to that subject. And the breath trumped that, right? Like it was better than any psychedelic. So I was like, oh wow, this makes you connect with the energy and the other side, right? Like, because it is really the other side. You're connecting with the energy that is invisible to most people. Resilience, how could we describe it? I healed a lot of my health problems with Qigong, like some of you, but I thought about it. What I want to talk about is the power of using the breath and the prayer together. That's something I'm very interested in, and have a record of doing prayer circles with the 9 breath method, which is something that I believe really accelerates your vibration. And so imagine you do breath work and then you pray as you're vibrating. I think it's more powerful, right? So to pray in a low vibration or pray versus in a high vibration, I think prayer works, and I think it works better when you're in a high vibration, right? So I tried to do this prayer thing on 2/22/22. I thought I'd tell you this story. So everybody remember 2/22/22? You might not, because on 2/24/22, Russia invaded Ukraine. And I led a prayer circle with like 2,000 people live on the internet. It was 2,000 people all breathing together. And we prayed for world peace. We prayed for Vladimir Putin not to invade Ukraine. Like, I visualized some really specific shit, which did not happen. Okay. So as my mother said, my mom got to watch this too. And she's like, Jeff, your prayers are terrible. You know, they're not working. You know, like, have you ever just thought like your prayers aren't working? You know? And I was like, you know, actually, I came away with the realization, like, what are the odds I would have planned this healing circle like 6 months in advance, got all these people, and then 2 days later, Putin invades Ukraine, right? So it's like, I don't see coincidence in this world. I see 2 days later, after 2/22/22, he invaded. Boom. Okay, there's a lot of reason to be pessimistic about life. I was like, oh, is what we're doing even effective, right? Like, God, you bring the invasion 2 days after my prayer circle, like, not feeling good. And then
apparently reverse psychology works on God too.
Yeah, exactly. And then this was further compounded for me in October the 6th of 2023. I live in Hawaii, and we have Mauna Kea. It's a 13,800 foot mountain. It's the holiest mountain in Hawaii, I feel. Anyway, that's biased because I live here, but that mountain is 13,800 feet. And there's a lake at 13,000 feet. It's the highest elevation lake in the world, right? So I took 3 other students and we did a prayer circle up there, October 6th. The sun was setting, right? The sun is setting, it's going down. I prayed with my 3 friends for 1,000 years of peace. What happens? That's a really great question. In the morning, I wake up to the news that you all woke up to on October 7th, 2023, that Hamas had invaded Israel. And if you don't know that, believe me, that's a date. I'm not pro-Israel, just for the record. I never gave a shit. Okay, I'm just going to tell you right now, I did not give a shit. Okay, all right, and I woke up to the news, which was, okay, if you saw, Hamas invaded Israel and killed, 1,200 Hebrew Jewish people, largest slaughter since the Holocaust, right? And I was like, oh, that's weird, right? I was up at the lake when this happened, at the most holy spot in Hawaii, right? And actually, we were there. I looked at my photos. We were there at 6:30 p.m. as the sun was setting. And then I looked and I was like, well, what time was it in Israel, right? When we led that circle. It was 7 a.m., October 7th, the moment Hamas. We led that circle within a 15-minute window of that invasion. I prayed to God for 1,000 years of peace, right? And then I wake up and then again, the second time I do a prayer circle, and there's not only a war, but just a heinous, occurrence, right? Like the most heinous occurrence. You're like, you led this prayer circle, and then 1,200 Jews died. Like
So no more.
yeah, like maybe you should quit, right? Like
Pray for war.
your prayers suck. Like you're not winning, dude. But I mean, you guys have some intuition, as I do, right? So it's like, what are the odds you would have been up there at the 13,000-foot lake in Hawaii within a 15-minute window of Hamas's invasion? You're like, okay, could it have been worse without the prayer? Did I make any difference at all? All I know is this: since that event on October 7th, 2023, I have prayed for peace every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning under the stars. And I believe that coincidence showed me that our prayer does have meaning. And resilience is like, okay, you think things aren't working, right? But what are the odds the Lord would bring you up to a holy place and have you praying at that 15-minute window? Things are working, but you're not seeing evidence of it in the real world, right? Like, as in, obviously that was a terrible day and still has not resolved in world peace. But the idea that our prayers matter, that's resilience. I haven't stopped praying. Actually, that just has made me pray more. I have been more of a prayer warrior, not less. And so like resilience, I think, is like, okay, you don't see evidence of the effect of what you're doing, but you sense the hand of God is in your life. You keep going, and to me, that's resilience. And you have a prayer circle with 100 people, 2,000 people, or it's just you alone in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter. Resilience is to pray like you believe, you have faith, and you keep going. And obviously, I'm a person of faith. I think that the universe is working in our favor, and we are growing stronger when we continue to have faith. And that's my message. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Good to have you here. James, would you share a bit more about yourself?
Yeah. So, happy-go-lucky kid. I think I wanted everyone to be happy, and I wanted to be happy. I just wanted to play with everyone and have fun. And I think so a lack of boundaries, probably with myself too, a lack of boundaries, though, I think invited anyways, or at least allowed for this intense bullying, traumatic levels of bullying, actually physical and emotional. And it's even mental, just being ousted and rejected from groups and things like that. So very, very traumatizing events at times. And I think what allowed me to build the resilience was always realizing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and having resilience is like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Somehow this is going to benefit me. And even in the time when it really freaking sucks, it's like, okay, how is this good? How is this actually good? How is this actually going to benefit me in the future? And how can I take control versus playing the victim? Oh, it's not me, and pointing the finger and the three pointing back at you. But how am I somehow, and this was before I took hypnotherapy and NLP and learned about spirituality and the reticular activating system, law of attraction, and psychedelics and all that stuff, for all those tools. But just knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and this somehow is making me better, and that I can somehow make a shift versus, oh, it's not me, it's just this, or my genetics, or my situation, or my parents, or whatever it is, the government, it's the environment, it's the economy, it's the whatever. Refusing to settle and always wanting to improve myself, I think, and always wanting to grow, and not just be myself, because you can be 40 pounds overweight just being yourself, but are you being your best self? Am I being my best self? Was a question that I was asking. It allowed me to constantly grow, and just learn some amazing tools, become a master trainer, apprentice of things like NLP and hypnotherapy and coaching, even timeline therapy, developing my own tools as well. Just realizing in any moment, okay, how is this making me better, stronger, faster, diagnosed with ADHD way late in life to do anything. I had it, back in the 1980s, before they even knew about it or what the hell to do about it. So not that it would be good, but useful to be diagnosed anyways, but just such problems I had with certain subjects in school. And just sometimes it's like being futile with these subjects helped me. It actually is beneficial, especially being an entrepreneur. Now it's helped me become resilient, because I've had times in my life where I've had to work very, very hard, and way harder than other people have. It's like, why do I have to work so hard for this when it's so easy for other people? And it was a blessing in disguise, because it allowed me to really work hard. And I like exercising. I like work with lifting weights and working out. It was like that. It was building that muscle for me. The how hard certain things were in life, whether it was relationships, or getting women to like me, or friends to like me, or weight loss, or putting on muscle, or being tired all the time, or whatever it is. Just the resilience of saying nuts to this. I'm gonna have what I want in my life. It helped me build that resilience muscle, and helped me with those muscles persevere through anything, and just help me realize through constant study, constant growth, constant learning, instead of burying my nose in a tabloid or Netflix binging, or booze, or drugs, or sex, or smoking, or whatever. I got addicted to growth and to learning. And I mentioned psychedelics, I mentioned NLP, breath work, all kinds of cool stuff. And ultimately, what I learned, as some others have reflected here, is it's if you want to make a change out there, you need to make the change in here. It's the easiest, fast. Well, I think it's the only way to change, because you can't force anything out here to change. There's very little control of out here, versus there's 100% of control of what you do internally. And so, just I think the culmination of my growth was just to learn to, if I didn't like something on the outside, okay, I needed to work on it in the inside. And one of those big things was just falling in love with myself. And it sounds a little airy-fairy, but from a guy, hardcore science guy, years ago, hardcore in his head, hardcore tech guy, worked for IBM, all that stuff years ago, and now coming to a place where meditation every day, talking to God every day, talking to my inner children every day, talking to my subconscious mind every day. It's come a long way, and just realizing that it really truly is, like someone had said before, falling in love with yourself over and over, and more and more and more every single day. And then life reflects that change. The people, the friends, the dates, the clients, the experiences, the realizing how beautiful you are, whatever it is, it all starts to change the more and more ways you find to fall in love with yourself and be, I don't want to necessarily be okay with who you are, because you can be 100 pounds overweight, and being okay with who you are may not be healthy, but loving myself no matter what, and still growing. And okay, because I was 60 pounds overweight. Love myself then. Yes, I love myself. And I love myself so much. Let's get rid of this excess weight, because this is a temple. This body's a temple. So I love myself so much that I'm going to get rid of this extra weight. And I love myself back then, 60 pounds heavier, depressed, bullied, burnt out, you name it. And I love myself now. And yes, let's grow and change and learn. So I guess that's the culmination of where I am now. More in love every single day with who I am and the man I want to be. And that will reflect outwardly more confidence. It attracts the right people. I slow down. I'm less stressed. I'm more sure of myself, which attracts all the right things and people in my life. So that's all that to say. Find ways to fall in love with yourself more and more, and become the best version of yourself, versus saying, well, people should just like me for who I am and being myself. Yes, be yourself. Be the most authentic and best version of yourself. Is that 100-pound overweight version, or the 60-pound version of me, was that the most authentic version of me? No, actually, it wasn't the most authentic version of me, nor the best version of me. So there we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah. It seems like you have some background in some of the things that I explored, anything from hypnosis to NLP to timeline therapy.
It's amazing stuff.
Who I studied in Hawaii with James.
Oh, cool.
That's good stuff.
There you go.
Sheldon, I'm so glad that you're back and that you fixed our online course. So thank you so much for that. And if you care to share a bit more about your journey and what ordeals you managed to overcome in your exploration of resilience.
I think my family history is a story of resilience. I told a little bit about in my course about my mother losing her sight when I was in college, and watching someone not give up, transform, and do things that were amazing and almost I felt were impossible was a good model for me of resilience. And I've always used that sense. I mean, even just her upbringing, just having kind of a harder life, but making really good decisions for herself and for her family. So that's always been kind of the greatest model for me of resilience, and also someone who built communities. So that's why I build communities to this day, is because I had it modeled for me. So that's kind of my background story of seeing resilience and persevering, and also just doing the arts and practices that I do. This work is very lonely, and so you have to have a very directed spirit about you, because you're going to be by yourself figuring this stuff out. And every now and then we have these times where we meet other sages on the path, and we get to kind of commiserate around, our experience, and then we got to break off and go walk the mountain alone, and then we can come back. So it's always nice when those opportunities to connect with other people who are walking their path is available. But largely you have to be resilient if you want to do this work, because you're just going to be completely alone most of the time. So that's my story of resilience, and a little bit about me.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and I can also say that you are very resilient in terms of overcoming all kinds of technology challenges. Just want to give you the kudos, because you are the IT person behind our summit. And so kudos to you for helping us overcome the challenges. If anyone says, hey, what's wrong with this technology? I'm not going to say it's Sheldon's fault. I'm going to say, thanks, Sheldon, for fixing the shit, because it was really falling apart. So
that's actually how you get a career in IT. You just have to have a high frustration tolerance. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of the loneliness of the Qigong and Tai Chi teachers, guess what? Our friend Bill Douglas pioneered this whole professional holiday, World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. It's on the last Saturday of April every year, which happens to be today. So happy World Tai Chi and Qigong Day, my friends.
Cool.
This is the day when a lot of teachers and students and enthusiasts of these arts participate in various types of demonstrations. We are missing quite a few Qigong masters from this panel, because they are actually presenters at our summit, and apparently they didn't make it, or maybe it didn't work out for them. But you will definitely be able to see all their presentations, because I granted each and every presenter the VIP status. So you have lifetime access, at least as long as I use Kajabi as our platform. You have this access to all the pre-recorded presentations, as well as recordings of our panel discussions. So we had a panel discussion that got recorded last night. I just got a notification from Kajabi. It took them like 24 hours to process that video, but it's actually ready. And same will happen with today's presentation, today's panel. So those of our viewers who are watching the recording, well, we had to jump through a few hoops to make this happen. And that's another testament of resilience. Now, when you guys were introducing yourselves, that was a really fantastic kind of a smorgasbord of amazing storylines of, I would call it a hero's journey. You probably are familiar with Joe Campbell's books on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the hero grows up somewhere in the tribe, in the community, in the village somewhere, and then goes through some stages of preparation, most likely unknowingly. And maybe those stages of preparation include being bullied or being abused or being somehow else challenged health-wise or otherwise. And then there is a real ordeal. If you haven't had a real ordeal yet, and you are teaching resilience already, guess what? You are going to be superheroes when you actually have the ordeal on the hero's journey's path, because that's what makes you a hero. And then, of course, the journey is to come back to your community or to your tribe to share what they had to share.
Right.
And that's, again, an ordeal in itself, because nobody wants to, it seems like nobody wants to listen to you. You know, some of you guys probably felt, at least I felt for sure, when I started out teaching, it was like I was way too young to teach. So nobody was listening to the whippersnapper who was like 30 years old, Qigong master. And everybody's like, what? Qigong masters are supposed to be like grandfathers, you know, in their 60s and 70s. Well, I've been practicing since the relatively tender age of 6. So I'm 56 now. I've been practicing for exactly 50 years. I remember, Jeff, you used to invite Qigong masters from China, and your requirement was that whatever they do, you have to practice at least 50 years. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I qualify now. And that is also an amazing opportunity for us, wherever we are on the journey, to look back and to see what do people want, what do they need as they are just getting onto this path, or they're just taking the initial steps along this journey. Do we remember where we were way back then, when we were just getting on this path ourselves? It's hard for me to remember because, like I said, I was a kid. I was doing most of the training kind of by osmosis, just living with my grandfather. It rubbed off of him on me. It didn't rub off of him on my dad. My dad got severely injured when he was a teenager, and his entire back got burnt. And my grandfather blamed himself for that. But that also meant that my father kind of skipped the generation of Qidao training. But I basically just went straight into that path from a very young age. And that was almost difficult for me to even relate to others who are not on this path. So it's to this day a challenge for me to remember what it's like to be a complete beginner. So I'm learning from you guys how you do it. I'm learning from our participants, and even not beginners. They don't have to be a beginner for me to learn from you. Jeff, for example, you are no beginner. You have been around the block a couple of times. What would we be able to learn from you, or me in particular?
Me, Jeff?
There's 2 Jeffs here, so just make sure who.
Sorry, Jeff. The wrong. The Jeff Primack has just spoken and shared a story. Jeff Romberger, you're not presenter, you are a VIP attendee, but you're here, and I would love to hear what we would be able to learn from you.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to do is figure out where I go from here. I haven't had the horrible trauma resilience experience. You know, I've had mild traumas. Both my parents were brilliant people. Although my dad was so busy, he was an absent father, and my mom was off and on having problems with alcohol. And I was the youngest of 3 boys and kind of the youngest in the neighborhood. So I did get bullied, not, traumatically, but I did get bullied. And one thing my mom was really, she had an amazing sense of wonder. And so she would, teach us a lot about various things, plants, animals, and other things about nature. And since I was kind of the forgotten child of the three, I went to nature. And I grew up on a farm, and I loved working, doing the crop working on the tractors and stuff, and I'd go out and work for 16-hour days. And that was my resilience, is to find myself by myself in nature. And a lot of my life is, I say it kind of happened to me, and now I say I was divinely guided without knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to college and got a couple of engineering degrees. I was on the faculty for a while, and then I got into energy related engineering and had a career there of about almost 40 years. And have recently retired from that completely. But along the way, I ran into some really key people. About 25 years ago, I was doing some individual counseling with a Jungian therapist, who also I've then found out was a astrologer and shamanic practitioner. And so he did an astrology reading on me. I said, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I'm game. And he let me know a lot of interesting things about myself based on my birth chart. Some of which I'm kind of a revolutionary and a healer. And then at the end of that, he said, you might be interested in pursuing shamanism. And I said, so what's that? And but he turned me on to that, and then I started studying that. I studied under many diverse teachers, and then I ran into another person that one thing I did learn is I learned to say yes when I got a yes. So I'd run into someone, and if it was a yes, it was a yes. And so I met another person and learned body work, Lomi Lomi massage, which led me to meeting several other people. And it's just been a very divinely guided life into resilience. And so now that I'm done being an engineer, and I do have a fair amount of experience, limited but broadly diverse experience in healing modalities. Now I'm writing a book, and I'm writing a book about healing. It was originally going to be based on becoming and being a healer based on my life experience. Now it's kind of evolving, but that book is going to help me define in my own mind who I am as a healer, as a resilient healer. And I'm really excited about that. And I have some other future opportunities that likely are going to be showing up for me. So it's a little bit different than a lot of other people getting to where I've gotten. But I've done so many different healing modalities, and a lot of them have just come to me spontaneously, which has been amazing. So I'm looking forward to solidifying my own thoughts of who I am, and I can do more than just say that's that thing I do, and make it a little more defined. But it's been a fun journey, and I'm looking forward to many decades in the future of additional interesting work.
Fantastic. Thank you. So this is really an amazing opportunity for our VIPs to hang out with presenters. And I would imagine that we as presenters also have the same sense of appreciation of being able to spend some time hobnobbing and rubbing shoulders with the participants, at least the VIP participants. So if there are any questions that either you, Jeff, who just spoke, or the other folks who I see are present but are not on camera at the moment, feel free to speak up, ask any questions, any comments about the resilience. I certainly would appreciate a little bit more of this dynamic conversation with you all.
Can I add something for Jeff or
Please.
to Jeff? Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I just want to say, when you said my father was unavailable and my mother had a couple little problems with drinking, so, and you were like, well, I didn't have the trauma. You most certainly did, and you are a warrior.
Well,
So I just want to start by
yeah.
saying that. So
Oh,
kudos
thank
to
you.
you.
Yes,
Because, I mean, people out there that go, well, I didn't have it so bad. And that's one of my biggest fights with people is when you were little, everything is big. Everything. So you're looking
Right.
back at it now as an adult point of view, and you're going, it wasn't that bad. But people used to ask me, would you rather be hit or ignored? Would you rather be beaten or have your parents not around? And I said, I'd rather be beaten because at least they knew I was there and I knew I was there. So I just want to add that because I don't want you to discredit or say I didn't have it that bad, and you did, and you're a warrior, and it led you to that resilience, and it led you to all these different healing modalities. Because, like I said, when you're little, everything's big, and
Yeah, that's true.
that's so just kudos to you. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any questions, folks? Or maybe we among presenters can ask each other questions. I mean, this is a bunch of very fascinating, interesting people. Please express your curiosity to the best ability you can.
I have a question. Question for Hannah about dance as a medium for healing. We have a cultural dance program here at Deep Root as well, and I'd love to get your perspectives on how that's helped or how it helps the people that you work with around healing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I tell the story. So people, they relate their own life and they mirror their own life into the story. And it's a way of kind of dissociating from the difficult parts of their own story and seeing it in a much bigger perspective. It's seeing it, that so many people, they've also had that story. They're not alone. So that's like the first thing. And then I guide them through dance meditations. So it can be different themes. It can be about, being a child, childhood wounds. It can also be about, finding resilience through that. It can also be about your relation with your parents that you dance. So I guide that, and always in relation to the story. So, and I call that story dancing. So I could be, guiding them through different kinds of, the way you relate to your mother, or that your mother has related to you. So different kind of, what is it called in English? The way you connect, or not really connect, like you, Tammy, went into that. Sometimes you have a mother that ignores you, or sometimes you have a mother that is really critical towards you. So we dance through the emotions that, that kind of relating brings up in you. And then we, of course, end, where you take care of yourself, you parent yourself in the end, and then you give it, to the great mother. So So I use different kinds of myth. It's mostly Norse mythology because that's like my roots. And I've also written a book about that. So it's incredible within mythology of, any part of the world. It's all the same themes. Lama, went, through the hero's journey. And we really have in all cultures the hero's journey through the native stories and myths and folk tales. So that's how I use it. So yeah. And then if I have them for a longer period of time, because people are often shy when they come, they're used to maybe doing breath work or doing something where it's not dangerous because you kind of reveal yourself through dance. So people can be pretty shy about it. So we always start, closing our eyes, so that we only relate to ourselves in our own universe. And then in the end, we often dance a ritual where we actually witness each other. So, one comes into the middle of a circle where we have, live drums, and the drums are following the person that comes into the circle, dancing a part of the myth. So we go through the whole, scenery of the myth, so that we don't get stuck anywhere in the myth. So we go through the whole, lifespan of the story, and then we end off, of course, always in, we are resilient. We went through it. We kind of, we surrendered through the story, through all the emotions that are, in the myth, and then we also witness each other, and that's also a way of acknowledging each other and holding each other in a safe space. So yeah, so that's like the two parts, of how I work with dance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
great.
for asking. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I definitely look forward to watching your presentation, because I think it's going to be a great opportunity for me to also dive a little bit deeper into the Norse mythology and culture, because I ended up moving into Scandinavian culture, Denmark. I don't understand the first thing about it. It is very strange and paradoxical, and in many respects, it's ahead of the time, and in many other respects, it's way behind. So I don't know. It's something that I'm going to be looking forward to find out more about Iceland, which used to be a Danish colony, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mostly populated by the Vikings. And the
Yeah.
Vikings were the resilient bunch.
Yeah.
Nobody questions that. So
Yeah.
it's been 1,000
Lama,
years since
isn't
then.
Denmark still the oh, they're not, Denmark is Greenland, not Iceland, right?
Yes, exactly. And the Faroe Islands, we got independence in 1944. Yeah, it was actually through the Second World War. We just said, oh well, the Denmark
So
is under the
so
Germans,
Iceland
so
has no ruling country over it. It's just
no.
Iceland.
Yeah, we are
Okay.
still independent.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know people in Iceland are a bit shaking, regarding the situation of Greenland. Are we then next?
I can only imagine.
Yeah, so yeah.
Well, the Danish are now are considering, well, maybe we need to arm ourselves, because who knows, Uncle Sam is coming.
Yeah, exactly. We are practicing resilience to a great
Right.
extent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I actually started a resilience center with my partner Aina, and we are doing exactly that. We're offering resilience training to the people of Denmark and other Scandinavian countries. One country I don't think we'll need to teach resilience anything about is Finland. They even have a special word for grit called sisu that somehow got woven into the tapestry of national character of the Finnish people. There's a reason why they are considered the happiest country in the world.
No
Because-
way, dude. I gotta interrupt you, man. The
Go for
Finnish
it.
people, dude, have the highest suicide rate in all of Europe. So can you speak about that?
Oh, I don't know anything about the
It
suicide
has
rate
to
of
do
Finland,
with.
but I would
I think
imagine
the
if you
Fin-
live above the Arctic Circle for half the year and
Yeah.
barely seeing sun, you probably will off yourself.
It's obvious. I mean, the Finnish people have to go through incredible resilience. But on that note, like I couldn't help but say, I mean, they do have a high suicide rate, and they probably could use these teachings a lot in Finland because they do have to go through incredible resilience.
Well,
Yeah.
that's probably why the ones who are left are the resilient bunch. The ones who weren't,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just took themselves out of the equation.
Yeah,
So I think that worked for the Finnish. So
that's good.
so, um, I will look forward to all of your presentations. I'm promising to go through each and every one of them, and look forward to connecting with you also if you feel like joining us tomorrow for the panel discussion. You're welcome to it. It seems like our panel discussions are relatively compact. I don't know, maybe tomorrow will be crowded, but I look forward to seeing you. And if you have any questions for me, please shoot me an email. I'm going to personally answer each and every email. And I appreciate it being here. And thank you for being part of the World Resilience Summit.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you.
Such
Lama.
a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great day,
Thank you, everyone. Great
Take
to
care.
meet you
Have a
all.
great day.
Namaste.
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 Bye-bye.